is of 256 bits. Now, if I make even a small modification in the input, let's say I'm saying I'm here today, first string was there, and I create an output or a hash of it. It is created 256 bits. And then I forgot, oh, I have to write a full stop because my sentence is complete. I just added one small full stop. But with that, my hash drastically changes. It does not remain the same. Now, what's the use of this? Suppose I want to check the passwords. Okay, we know that we cannot store the passwords in the database in the simple text format, the way it is in the plain text. What we do, we create a hash of it, store it into the database, and whenever we enter any kind of a password, we will convert it into hash and then compare. Okay, that's why these days you have reset password, not just remembrance of the password and this was your password earlier, now enter it, does not happen. Okay, reset because even the database administrator cannot access it or cannot find out what that particular hash is. That is the beauty of hash, and that is what is used in the blockchain. Now, for every block in the blockchain, we consider what is the data, what is the timing at which that particular block is created, the block number, and whatever was the hash of the previous block. You have learned linked list, right? All these linked lists get created or get connected with each other with the previous address. Exactly in the similar way, only thing is instead of address, we take the hash of the previous block. And that is how we connect with it. Okay. Now let's say I'm going to create 3 blocks and how do they get created? Okay. Here is I'm saying that data is 1, add a new block. You can see over here, it is created on 28th of February. Okay, system timing, it shows 6:35, but maybe it's on that server. Okay, so it is showing that this is what is the block number. And if you look at Genesis blocks hash, it starts with 000 DC and ends with 37 CF. And you can see over here, the previous hash is also 000 DC ending with 37 CF, which means that it is used for linking to the next block. And then the next block is been hash of the next block is created. In the similar way, now I'm going to create 2 more blocks. Let's say I say 2, add new block. And here it is 3, add new block. Okay, just 3 blocks I have created. Now, let's say I try to tamper one of the data. So whatever transaction we have put into block number 2, I am saying that, okay, let me say that it is -2. You can see immediately that the hash is not matching. It can identify that there is an error. And is it that only that block hash has changed? No, because since we are connecting it to the next one also through hash, you can see that the block of the next or hash of the next block is also incorrect. Are you getting it? So this way you will be able to identify what is getting tampered. Okay. Now, if I correct this, it goes to normal, which means that I have not touched the data which was there in the block. So if I try to modify its original data, you will be able to identify if it is as it is. So this is what we require and we call it as data integrity, right? We want that data should remain integral, and that is what we have done right now. Okay, yeah, I'm here. So have you understood the basic concept of blockchain? Okay, this is how blockchain works. Now, knowing that these are the things of the blockchain, let's see where all we can use of blockchain. Okay, first is we want wherever want a tamper resistance kind of a data or data verifiability is possible, we will be able to use or blockchain will be useful while designing these kind of applications. Which are those? One is certificate verification, right? You know that you must have heard just 2 years back, IIT Kanpur started giving all their certificates through blockchain, right? So that now whenever you are applying anywhere outside or in any other university also, whatever Kanpur's certificate is there, they will be able to verify in the blockchain developed by Kanpur, IIT Kanpur. Okay, and you can identify if it is a fake certificate or the original certificate. Similar kind of a thing, which I will tell because this is what we have developed, is in Jammu Kashmir, you are aware that there was Kalam 370, right? Article 370, which was removed. After that, Jammu Kashmir government started giving domicile certificates for the residents of Jammu Kashmir. Obviously, it's an essential thing. We all now carry domicile certificates after 10th, 12th. And so they started giving this. Initially, it was fine, but within few days, there were few kiosks available stating that we also provide domicile certificates. And citizens of Jammu Kashmir felt that maybe government has opened so many kiosks for their convenience, so they can go over there and take the domicile certificate. They actually purchased domicile certificate. So they had to pay some amount to get the domicile certificate. After getting that, when they tried and going to the departments and saying that, okay, this is our certificate now, the task should be done. They realized that the certificate which is given to them is fake. Okay? Isn't it their loss? Agar 2000 ka bhi certificate hai, फिर भी 2000 for a family, it does matter, right? So what we decided is let's do domicile certificate verification system based on blockchain. Whichever certificate was issued by the government went into blockchain, and that verification system ka link we provided it to Jammu Kashmir residents. So what they do now is they just verify whatever certificate they have got, is it already in the blockchain or not? If it is there in the blockchain, they know it is the real certificate. If it is fake, they don't pay the money to that person. Okay, so this way verification became important. This can happen in anywhere. There are multiple use cases of this. One of them is, as we said, certificate. Okay, another can be land records, where once you have sold. Now, all those applications which are having unique assets can have blockchain. Okay, what do we mean by unique asset? The asset we cannot copy. We cannot have copies of it, right? So if I'm having a classroom, there can be another separate classroom named by something else. But I cannot have that this classroom is allocated to one madam at the same time. Another madam is also able to take the class into that classroom. It's not feasible, right? So these kind of assets, whenever we are talking about, we can make use of blockchain. That is what is unique asset. Now, where can we use this kind of a thing? You know, voting systems, right? We still go to the polling booth, cast our vote into that EVM machine, and then there is all those drama keeps on going after every election, right? But at that point in time also, whenever we are casting our votes, there are so many people, though it is our right. I think all of you must be voting this time for first time, right? So all of you will notice what happens actually. But many of us who are working already, many times are not there in our constituency. Maybe for work purpose, we are deputed somewhere else. Or we do have older people who are not able to go to the polling booth. They are at home, but they still have voting right. Or maybe there are ill people, people who had accidents, many reasons. For some or the other reason, we are not able to go to the polling booth and cast our vote. For here, isn't it really good to have now, since we are having so many emerging technologies, can't I just make use of my mobile phone, cast my vote, right? It will be easier wherever I am, I can actually cast my vote. The problem is that whenever I'm doing a voting, there should be first, I cannot multiple times vote. Secondly, I should ensure that my vote goes to only in the right constituency with the right ballot paper, right? Thirdly, I should be voting within that given period of time itself. Fourthly, no one should know whom I casted my vote. Right? There should be secrecy between. So whenever now we are developing any kind of an application, we know that we create the logs. So we know that this person did this. because we develop application for IITs for the GATE application of this. Okay, over there we find that many times a student come because they could not fill up the application on time. They say that no, we had done this, the system did not do it, and so on and so forth. So we have to keep the traceability in the application, stating that yes, this student on this day had submitted these kind of things, so that it can be presented in the court of law. Exactly opposite is our requirement for voting. We want to verify that the voter is not going to do multiple times voting, but at the same time, we want that the voter, whomsoever he has voted, should not be disclosable. Nobody else knows whom the voter has voted. How will you achieve this? Any ideas? Now, all of you are from IT background, right? Is it possible to achieve this way? है ना? इससे कैसे होगा? Anybody from database backgrounds or likes the databases? So, okay. So what we have done is we created a database in which we are having different copies. Okay, we are maintaining the information. Whenever you are creating the logs, you do decide what information will go in the log. So we maintain the information that this voter voted. Okay, whom he or she has voted does not come into the database, it directly goes into the blockchain. And while putting it into the blockchain, we just put the vote, the time at which it has been put, and to whom obviously it has voted, that party name and etc. etc. That goes into the blockchain. But if I look into the blockchain, I will not be able to make out who has voted. If I go into the database, and there is of course another channel in the blockchain, what we say, where we are saying that if this person voted or not. So there should be certain kind of a very fiability. What we call is double spending is not possible, right? Let's say double casting of votes will not be possible. So that is another area where blockchain is implemented. Though I'm talking about blockchain, I would also like to mention the research areas, especially in this e-voting, because this e-voting application we developed using blockchain, and we did the POC of it in Telangana. So we received a Technology Sabha award for this application because it was an innovative idea in India to have this kind of a voting as such. What we did is initially, whenever the user registers, okay, we take his photograph because it's a mobile application. So हर एक mobile में camera तो होता ही है. So we just captured the photo. We asked the person to also provide online Aadhaar. So we extracted photograph from that online Aadhaar system, matched this person's with Aadhaar, and then we had taken the record from voter bank. What was his voter ID card? So we extracted even that image and compared that. So if it is the same person, which means that he is the same voter. Is this sufficient? During registration, there were certain things that, okay, we did name matching, etc., etc. What about when he is going to vote? We want that the person only votes. Otherwise, somebody will put his image or photograph in front of the mobile device and do the voting, right? To avoid that, what we introduce is liveness detection, which means there are now systems which are looking at your face, say that if you are the real person or an image. Or they ask you to blink your eyes, look up, look down, or look right, anything, will show your pointing finger or something of the kinds. So with these kind of gestures, you can identify if the person is live or not. And if he or she is live, again, this is matched with whatever we have done during registration. And now you can identify the same person is doing the voting. And we have gone ahead with this. Do you find that there is still loophole in this kind of an authentication? What is the loophole? No. Deepfake is, again, we will be able to identify during liveness detection. Because deepfake is a video. If I ask that, okay, look up, deepfake will not automatically do, at least as of now, will not do looking up. So there are still, at least as of now, safeguarded things. Exactly.
Just
Exactly. Correct.
and make sure vote that particular party.
Precisely.
And
Very true. Very right.
and secondly, that sometimes people are so ahead. Like we have seen technologies coming and people being so ahead of spoiling that thing that AI looks so real. Like some technology
As Sir said, deep fake. That is the but so far at least we are able to beat them. Okay, because at least as of now, whatever the deep fakes are there, you may not be able to identify if the person is real or not. But live or not is possible to detect. So liveness detection is possible, but you will not be able to say that जब ये वीडियो निकाला था तब वो person सही था या अलग. Getting the difference between the two? Yeah. So, yeah. Exactly. That's very true. Okay. So, for example, if I'm putting my mobile in front of me, I'm taking my picture, someone is putting a gun from there. Maybe आजकल वो भी possible है कि I can use the back cameras to see that nobody is around. But what about side? And if I'm holding my mobile like this, only my face gets captured. Nothing from my behind can be seen, right? Here, there is a requirement of liveness detection to be modified. Again, what I'm discussing is as a uh, research topic as such, okay? There are things in the liveness detection and you might have heard about the cameras which are coming. Yeah. फिर तो वो सही वही हुआ जो हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जाकर या बूथ में जाकर करते हैं सो व्हाट हाँ तो सिस्टम ट्रैक कर लेती है ना व्हाई वी रिक्वायर मैनुअल इंटरवेंशन सिस्टम इज ट्रैकिंग एनीवेज कैसे कर वही तो ना how even the person who is online available can detect that it is done forcefully. There is no way to find out. And if a person can detect, a system can also detect. Problem क्या हो जाता है that person is not able to say that I am under threat and I am doing it. And because of that, not a system and not a human outside is able to identify if the person is as a threat. So what we are thinking on, this is a research topic if you are coming ahead with, is there are new cameras coming up which are called as thermal cameras, thermal detectors, right? If you are a live human and if you are under threat, there is possibility of blood rushing to your face, right? And if the heat gets generated, maybe that heat factor comes at say, we might be able to identify that if the person is at threat or not. But this is again a completely research topic. So to make these kind of applications foolproof, there is still long way to go. Yeah.
We have seen this process of voting is a fraction of minute process, and there have been reports of EVM also. How people are even pointing EVM as
yeah, of course. When we had this with Election Commission of India also. So see, people talking has multiple aspects. It's a psychological aspect. It's the most stronger one. Okay. If I tell you that this is what the scenario is, and if I keep on telling you multiple times that this is what the scenario is, you will start believing, yeah, ho sakta hai. Okay, if I say that, okay, this person is corrupt, and तुम्हें पता है he is your good friend and he is not corrupt. But I keep on telling you every now and then that this person is corrupt. Then you start thinking, maybe I don't know this angle of the person. And slowly you start believing. वो EVM के बारे में भी होता है. Every political party which loses at that time blames EVMs. Okay, but let's not think from that perspective because we being technology people, let's try to solve the problems from a technology angle. Technologically, what solution we can provide to overcome these kind of issues. Maybe tomorrow sentiment analysis or something also can be useful over here. That while capturing the liveness detection, maybe you can do the sentiment analysis through eyes or something that you are capturing during this. That can be useful. So यहाँ पर AI का काफी इस्तेमाल हो सकता है. Okay, but those are the good research opportunities for you even in these emerging technology applications that we are seeing today. Okay, so one was, as I said, e-voting is another very good application. Third one you might have heard about is the supply chain management. You know, I'll give you 2, 3 examples why there is a requirement of blockchain in supply chain management. We know that after COVID or before COVID also, काफी बार ऐसे हुआ था that a particular drug was there. Drug is medicine was in the market, and then later on it was said that okay, that was invalid, that wasn't correct one, and still people were selling it because there are crores of maybe pharmacy shops where people go and buy the medicines from. But if we know that okay, any particular medicine, how it is actually designed or how it gets manufactured, what is the content of that particular medicine, and we start tracking from there itself that ये medicine बनाने के लिए these chemicals were used, it gets manufactured. Once वो जो गोलियां बनती है, those went to the packaging, from packaging it went now to the shop, from that shop this went to this particular person because anyways billing is there in that process. So here, every time if we could track and put the record of it on the blockchain, we will be able to verify which tablet has gone to which person. And if that person faces certain kind of issues, we might be able to identify किस वजह से ये हुआ था. Are you getting it? So blockchain along with AI, okay, can be so much helpful. So currently Walmart has implemented another use case of this supply chain management is many times immediately after rains or before rains, we start like lots of farmers had taken certain kind of seeds and after the rainfall, the crop has not yielded, right? How will you know that which seeds have gone to which farmers? Now we have blockchain. If we start from the seeds, then going it to a particular seller of those seeds, and then coming it to the farmer, we will be able to identify whom to blame for if a particular seeds are not actually getting converted into crops. Right? So this kind of a traceability in the agriculture domain is currently what we are trying to explore through blockchain. There can be multiple such use cases. I will give you one more example of this use cases, which is actually developed by TCS. Okay, it's a carbon measurement. So in the electricity, all these smart grids are currently there everywhere. You must have heard about. Okay, today the electricity is not just going through the wires. There are grids and which decide and balances which electricity is going where there is surplus electricity, how will it be distributed and so on and so forth. So for each of the usage, it gets converted into units and charges and put it into the that smart grid ka blockchain. This is being currently observed. That is called as even carbon measurement also. So many of the startups are coming to identify what can be new use cases of blockchain and that can simplify the life of citizens. So that is what is about blockchain. Okay, we have seen certain kind of applications, that is document verification, e-voting we saw, supply chain management, land records. One more thing is you might have heard that very recently India came up with a DPDP bill, that is data privacy the another for something preservation kind of a bill, which is similar to that of the GDPR in Europe. We know that lots of things we are doing today online and are a lot of personal information, which we call as PII, personal identifiable information, is available online. With which, suppose I got admitted to LIMS one hospital. Other people will be able to know that, okay, this person had taken these kind of medicines. Now, for normal people, it may not affect so much. But imagine tomorrow, some high political figures or some kind of celebrities are admitted and certain actions people want to take against them. They can tamper the medicines, right? Over here, what we require is no personal identifiable data should be shared in public, and that should be very much preserved. Also, what information about the user should be captured should be decided by that particular user, and that is what we call as a consent management. So your consent can go into the system, and then only your data will be shared. Without that, your data cannot be shared. That is first part. Now we also run one app store called as gov.in app store. Okay, that is for Government of India. What we are running this kind of a thing. What we realize is you might have heard 2, 3 years back there was in newspaper that these 49 apps which were there on Google Play Store, government found that they are not safe enough and have been removed. Last month, there was 4,735 kind of financial applications which were found that they were about the loans and were effective faulty security breaches, and those have been removed from the Play Store. So we require certain kind of a mechanism that whatever app I'm downloading, is it thoroughly tested and is it a valid app? Or some malware has inserted into it. For this also, you can make use of blockchain. And we already have that kind of a use case implemented. So this is what is blockchain. Now, though we are having so many use cases possible, blockchain is not without challenges. It's a still new emerging technology. There are lots of challenges like performance, its scalability, electricity requirement. So what we call it as a power consumption or carbon footprint is still high. So reducing that is another challenge. Thirdly, when you were not born, we used to use computers to have applications running on our computer only. Okay, we were not able to communicate on internet. There was no internet at that point in time. The mail itself, we started sending much, much later when we graduated. Okay, so at that point in time, we were applications running on desktops. Later on, there came a new technology, which is like service-oriented technology, where the client machine started communicating with the servers. And then came the technology where two machines started communicating with each other. So today you do have APIs, web services, etc., to communicate between the machines. Okay, this we call as interoperability. Machines started interoperable. However, currently when we are building any kind of blockchain applications, these are working in silos. I can have passport ka application, I can have income tax application, I can have police application, but all these should communicate with each other. Right? Passport ke liye jaate ho, you will require police verification as a input. But if these two applications cannot communicate with each other, the work might not be that good. So there is another work which is happening in the area of blockchain, which is called as blockchain interoperability, and which is another research topic. There are certain systems evolving, but those are not still that high. I'll take just 5 minutes and then we will have questions. Is it okay? Oh yeah, it's already because 12:30, so no issues. Huh? Uh, I'll just take this one and then we will have question answers. Okay. Another area what we know is about artificial intelligence. Okay. We heard this term very often, but do we know what is artificial intelligence? Once upon a time, what we used to do is write rules, right? If these kind of conditions are satisfied, then this is the result. If this condition is satisfied, this is the result. So if you are having marks in 5 papers above 80, then you will be having first class or something of that kind, right? After the rule-based evolved as machine learning kind of a thing, which was used in most of the NLPs initially. What we used to happen is we identify certain kind of attributes and say that, okay, these are the attributes. If these are matched or if these are like this, then this system I can call as pass. Okay, a person is having all this, I'm calling it pass. Then I say that the person is having all these kind of things and one failed though. Again, it is coming to the rule based. But let's say I'm trying to get the data of the weather. Okay, I keep on inserting that kind of data. I say that wherever these kind of parameters observe, okay, I call this kind of a data is humid. I call this kind of a data maybe as hot or something like that. And we feed that kind of information into the system. So if I'm having 1,000 records, maybe 700 records I will be giving to the system for training the system that what is what. The way we do for a child, right? We tell him that, okay, you have to call this color as red, this color as white, this color as black. In the similar way, we tell the system. And then later on ask that child that, okay, what is this color? And when he says red, we are happy. In the similar way, when the system diagnoses this, that we are happy. That is what happens in machine learning, which is a kind of classification and the machine understands it. Then we started giving it more and more records. It started even predicting the things. So we started calling it as a prediction algorithms. Now we are into era where we are not telling to the system, we are just giving information to the system. We continuously keep on pushing the information to the system and system starts understanding this kind of a thing. Okay. Again, we will connect it or sorry, we will try to connect it to our childhood. Okay. Whenever we are learning the language that our parents speak, are they teaching us the language? No. But our brain starts interpreting that language because we are continuously hearing that. So if you are in the foreign country, you may not learn to say Hindi. You might start talking in English or whatever that language of that particular land is. What this happens? How this happens? Because you are accumulating, your brain is accumulating a lot of data and it starts interpreting it. This is what is today's AI. When we talk about CNN machines or deep learning, what we are giving is we are giving the records in lakhs and crores of kind of records so that that particular system starts interpreting it and it creates its own model and it starts behaving the way ChatGPT has been developed. That there is huge record what you are having. We have given that, okay, these are the templates. Keep on taking the templates and it starts evolving with it. What it requires is data. But will you be able to modify this? If you know now that your system is behaving incorrectly, you have seen Robo's movie of Rajnikant, it is happening that robots can create now their own army because it is only the data that required. There is no human intervention required, but that can be threatening. For example, you have heard Dr. Dahar saying about it, right? But he's saying that if your data is biased, okay, let's say we are going for a recruitment and we are giving the recruitment data which was there much older times. Okay, in army, let's say at that time women were not allowed to be recruited, and now if you give those kind of initially you trained your system or gave for that algorithm all the information which was older, and now you are giving all these biodata to the system. In the current system, we will not be able to recruit women because your system is biased. Okay, so here, what kind of a data you are giving to the system matters a lot. Problem is because tomorrow, if something happens, we are not able to detect what went wrong because the data which have gone inside itself was wrong. Okay, so that is the biggest threat today for AIs. Or another one is we know that in deep learning, very recently we saw a lot of cases which are happening about deep fakes. The deep fake is because using deep learning technology, we are creating fake kind of things, which is a part of generative AI. We are trying to create generate something new for which we are giving lots of input. Now, all of these celebrity photos or videos are easily available on internet. So if I give them, obviously, creating their duplicates is not difficult. So that is another thing. Because tomorrow, as sir was saying that, okay, deep fake. If I create a deep fake and try to do e-voting, why not? Today it is not possible. Tomorrow it may become. So somewhere what we require is fair AI. Understand and make use of AI only for better means and right means. And second one, what we are trying to do is traceable AI. that currently the data is deciding how the system behaves. Now we should have identification of which data actually created what kind of issues so that you can rectify those issues. Otherwise, this world will become chaotic. We will have no control over here. And that's the reason why different types of AIs, what we need to look at and be fair and traceable about it. There are multiple applications of AI. I currently work in the domain of accessibility. We all of us are physically fit, have eyes, have mouth, we can talk, can hear. Okay, but there are still people who are not able to have this kind of a thing. And it does not mean that they don't have brain, does not mean that they cannot do all those things what we do today, except that a particular organ is not there. Okay, I'm having one of my colleague who is completely blind, 100% blind. But I try to give this example to you. The reason is key, how motivated a person can be. We did certain research on web applications of our accessibility. And we wrote a paper and it got accepted in Australia when IEEE or ASEAN conference was there. So I was at that time in UK and I told him that Sai, I will not be able to go. So we kya kare? Because unless and until you present the paper, it will not get published. So what to do? He said, ma'am, may I request you, may I go to Australia? I said, तुम कैसे जाओगे यार? मतलब, he's completely blind. But he said, no, ma'am, I will go. And he went, he presented, not only he presented the paper, he created his own network. Uske aane ke baad, I know that, okay, many people now start or know about our work because he had presented it so well. Next year, we got published another paper. It was in Portugal. Obviously, I didn't ask him, will you go? I said, that's Sai Javel. He said, yes, ma'am, और एक request था. I said, क्या अभी? So he said, ma'am, I would like to go and see Spain. And I was like, क्या देखोगे तुम? Like it actually comes to our mind, ना यार ये क्या देखने वाला है? But no, they do enjoy. And he enjoyed from Portugal. Portugal पूरा घूम के आया. उसके बाद he went to Spain. He roamed around there and really enjoyed. He likes wine, so he saw into the wineries, went into wineries, checked how the wine takes place or how it gets manufactured. What I'm trying to bring out is, if you do not have organ, one of the organ does not mean that you are not capable of doing the things. And today, because most of the things that we are doing, we normal people are only somehow able to access it. What about those who are missing all these kind of things? So AI can be very useful. So when we are reading all these kind of stuff online, okay, blind people can read it with the help of text to speech converters. They do have certain kind of a screen readers as such. But again, there is a problem that if I'm having images, images cannot be converted. Again, AI can come and help. There is new work which is happening, which is called as scene description, SEEN. Okay, where we try to find out what is there. Even older days, whatever rules were there and all, those are actually having in the JPG format and we cannot read it, right? So converting them, which we call as OMR reading also, or PDF readings for these kind of a people is happening and that is possible only with AI. So the way we have seen that problems with AI, there are also very good applications and which we can contribute to the society, make life of many much simpler. There is lots and lots that can be done. I attended one more thing, which is completely not AI, but yes, it has certain part of robotics over there. There is a huge festival that takes place in Goa every year in the month of January called as Purple Fest. This is for disability, people of disability. It is not only people of disability, it is also the industry which is working for them. So I went and there is one lady from Ghatkopar. She was having one stall over there. She said that we are working for motor disabled people, which means we are able to hold the pen or this, we are able to write and all. But there are lots of people who are not able to have that kind of a strength in their hand or in their feet. Okay. So she gave me that, okay, I will teach you how to work on this. She gave me a band and I wore that band. It was just tight band, and then here there was a support. The way if we are having some fracture or something, the way kind of band which we wear, it was similar to that. Now she said that now hold the pain. I went and I tried to hold it like this. She said, no, 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 not like this. She just inserted between my fingers. The pain was like this. And she said, now write. I said, how can I write like this? But you will not believe we can write like this. And your handwriting also will be equally good even by writing like this. I could even draw. And we were not aware that this is possible. What they use is the muscles over here, that movement to track it and then convert it into that actual text or this, right? So what I'm trying to tell you now, this girl who was having very nice long hair was not able to comb on her own. So there is a dependency of these disabled people on somebody else. Okay. With this, she is now inserting, there is an extension in which she inserts the comb. She combs, she can brush, she can have her own food with spoon, everything. And just imagine a child doing it on her own and the kind of satisfaction she must be getting. Every time, otherwise, she was dependent on her mother, father, and if nobody is there, she has to remain hungry for that. Today, she doesn't have to, right? So, tomorrow, if we all decide, especially with the help of technology, we can simplify the life of so many citizens. And I think that is a huge research domain, something which may not come to my mind. You might evolve tomorrow, right? So, I think that is the open forum. AI is useful, of course, but if used properly. So we should have our brain active while creating the artificial intelligence into it. Thank you. We can take questions.
We see that AI is always aiming to adapt to rational. Huh. AI is always aiming to adapt to rational thinking and human behavior. And they always make sure that we have a cognitive thinking ability. So when they are making these types of chatbots or something, we have observed that we are generations who are using social media, and when we use certain apps, we get only recommendations of what we watch. But somewhere I feel that it tampers our privacy.
Of course it
Of
does. Of course it does.
so they should not be actively what we watch in the realm of achieving the financial targets that they want to achieve. Your views on that? And secondly, I would like to ask about blockchain. And it is that how blockchain, like this was a hot topic now before, right now it is not discussed yet. But I feel how is blockchain and how it was used for cryptocurrency. I would like to know your views on that.
Okay.
So these two topics, if you could address.
Okay, for blockchain, it's not views, rather I can tell you the technology. The first part, what you said, that use of your social media content or whatever you are entering gets converted into your choices and to understand you better. One part, one way, if you look, we call it as a localization and personalization, right? So one way, if you look at it, it is good because it tells you that okay, you might like this. जैसे YouTube videos में आता है. Otherwise, you have to keep on searching, and something that you don't like also keeps on popping up a lot. So at one place we do like it. Of course, there are disadvantages of it because someone else can use this kind of information to know more about you and misuse it. If you look into the society, okay, there are good humans, there are bad humans, right? They can do create criminal activities. So the same happens with the technology. There is a good usage of it, there is a bad usage of it. And uh, I think kitna hi hum chahe, okay? Every technology will always have plus and minus. And it will be misused by third person. Oh, atomic energy se lekar aaj tak. Okay? None of the technology is like that it cannot be misused. So we have to be very careful now. in the era of artificial intelligence, many times we are losing our intelligence. Because we have seen that many of you not only are using social media, you use ChatGPT to create your project reports, or maybe creating the letters or kind of a thing. For you at that time, point in time, you feel that, acha hua na, mera report acha aa gaya, now ma'am will like it. But at the same time, have you realized that your brain has not been utilized? Anything that does not get utilized get factored. जैसे अपनी पूछ चली गई वैसा अभी ब्रेन भी जा सकता. It should not happen, right? So what I see is, as a human, we should intelligently use AI. Okay? कब किसका इस्तेमाल करना है? For your smaller benefits, if you use it, remember in the longer run, you are the loser, not the winner. Okay, you are letting AI win over you. So that's the only thing, because I will not be able to comment good or bad, but that is what is happening. So we only have to control. That's the reason I was talking about traceable AI, or where we know what is happening. Right? Let's not be certain. About cryptocurrency, what applications what I discussed today are called as a private blockchain based applications. There is still the decision making is happening from a centralized agency. If we put it open, that I don't have a RBI, I don't have any other bank to tell me that if this transaction is correct or incorrect, going from one account to another account. Instead, all those people who are sitting around will decide that if this transaction is correct or not, is what happening in cryptocurrency. Here, the faith is everybody is has equal rights. There are again pros and cons for this. Pros is it's good that everybody gets right. It's kind of a voting right. The con is, if I decide and I ask 51% of the people to vote against you, your transaction will not go through. Okay? So that is what is happening in the cryptocurrency, why the governments are not allowing it in the nation. And secondly, it loses the control of overall financial domain itself. We don't know where the money is getting created, where it is getting distributed. There should be some kind of a traceability of it, which is not coming in the cryptography. That's the major threat. I hope in minimum possible words I'm trying to explain. Yeah.
Thank you, Padmaja Madam, for sharing your expertise and the knowledge. AI, NLP, blockchain. I hope what from since morning what you're hearing this buzzword. And I hope what you remember now, we have to tune our life with those buzzwords. There is no other option left for us. Madam has explained all these big concepts, okay, with the simple words and with the daily life examples. I hope what you have gained much more of insights, okay, from her speech. Let's move to our next session. We have Dr. Nuno Betancourt with us. Good morning, sir.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So you're
thank
audible?
you.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm?
Okay, sir. Here we go with the introduction to Dr. Nuno.
India. Wait, name India. INDIA. India.
South Indian. South Indian.
So I hope what this is some sort of an entertainment. I know that what since morning you're listening keynote addresses. So yes, Dr. Nuno Betancourt. Dr. Nuno Betancourt holds a PhD in informatics engineering from Universidade Trans Monte e Alto Douro. I hope, sir, please forgive me. This is very difficult for me also to pronounce. But yes, I hope what I have succeeded in it. Portugal, and he is an associate professor for Department of Information Engineering at Institute of Engineering of Porto, a researcher at INESTTEC, that is Institute for System and Computer Engineering, Technology and Science, currently holding a pro-president position for a digital transformation and information service at the Polytechnic Institute of Porto and IEEE Portugal Blockchain Working Group appointed officer. He nourishes special interest for software engineering and system architecture, model-driven engineering, software quality assurance, and adoption of agile methodologies for the development of management of IT projects. In addition to lecturing as a researcher, he has authored several articles and chapters. His main research interests are semantic web, information privacy, content sharing on internet, software development quality, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. He is also current IEEE Portugal Blockchain Working Group Chair. So we welcome you, sir, and the session is over to you.
Hi. Okay. I hope that everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the invitation to be here and be part of this community with you on this morning. Well, I say morning because this is actually 7:30 in Portugal, so it's like time I normally get up. I know you are anxious for having lunch, but I still haven't gotten breakfast, so
Yes.
bear with me for a second, and thank you for the invitation. I really enjoyed our last talk, and I have
Yes.
to thank you, the last presenter, because some of the topics that I was going to address, they have been already addressed. So I kind of shifted a little bit my presentation while I was watching the other one. So I will be going through some my outline for the session is distributed ledger technology and blockchain history, so that you can understand a little bit of the history behind blockchain. That we will talk about DLT because most people don't know about it. Blockchain. Let's have a look at some insights of the recent data from Gartner's hype cycles.
So sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yes.
Are you sharing your screen with us?
Well, I was trying to share it. If it's not there yet, let me see if it's on again.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. So sorry for that. And there was some problem here. And thank you. So I was saying that I was going through the agenda, and we'll be talking about some blockchain and AIs and takeaways for the session. So just a second. So now I think everything's back to normal. So let's talk about some of the history related to blockchain and DLTs. I bet that many of you have heard about blockchain in the recent years, mainly because of cryptocurrencies. That has been the hype behind it. But the funny thing is that cryptographic foundation started in the 70s, in the 1976 and 1978. We started using RSA. We had the first public key cryptography, and then even in the 90s to the 98, so we're talking a few decades back, we already had some idea. We had a B-money, which was actually one of the first electronic cash systems in 98. And cryptocurrencies had some early prototypes by this time. Most recently, between 2004 and 2015, you all started hearing about Bitcoin and blockchain because there was an introduction of the proof of work. You know Satoshi Nakamoto probably. He was the first to release the first Bitcoin software, so he got quite famous for that. And there were some alternatives that appeared at the time. And then we have a new cycle that started in around 2015, where Ethereum, which is another blockchain, got in the mix. This led to several countries trying to explore digital currencies, and things like Facebook even tried to do something which was called Libra, and now it's called Dime Project, and not that known, but they tried to do it. And then we had the maturation and integration period where people started thinking about decentralized finance, how we could use blockchain in a way that money could have its value directly converted to real money. I'm pretty sure everyone heard about NFTs recently and how you can have NFTs on any piece of physical things like art or paintings or whatever. And this history stopped in 2022 because since 2022 there has been a lack of, well, this has been maturing, but there has been a lack of like a huge milestone that has appeared meanwhile. So why did I talk about DLTs? Actually, DLTs, distributed ledger technology, are decentralized and distributed ledgers. So probably most of you know what a ledger is. If you don't know what a ledger is, it's like a book, an accounting book, where it says someone did this and someone got that. So it's like the history of something that you have. Many years ago, if you went to a shop, people would write down on that book saying that someone owed him money. So in the end of the month, people after going to groceries, they would pay that amount in the end. So this was the ledger book that the shop person would keep in order to know who was on the shop. So this conceptual foundation for blockchain dates a few decades back, and it allows us to record transactions across different nodes, and it avoids something that is called the middleman or any central authority. So we are talking about distributed technology. The big advantage of distributed technology is that our ledger can exist in multiple places at the same time. So looking at technological aspects, we gain a lot about transparency. So imagine that if you had your own shop, you would have just like your accounting book, your ledger on your shop. But if you have two shops on two different places, you will need two ledgers. So the idea behind ELT was for you to have the same image between these two books. So there is a decentralization. It operates over a peer-to-peer network, and it automatically exchanges information between those peers, so that you always get the always, it depends. There is always a little bit of time for new changes to propagate to the network. But the idea is that this is all done automatically. So you can avoid this middleman, the person that would take the records from this place to the other place. So given the internet, we can do this automatically. There is also some cost savings in this. So if we eliminate people in the middle that were doing it, this can lead to cost savings. And now you say you're taking out jobs from people, but let's think about it on another perspective. Let's think that you have a relative in Australia or in Brazil, and you want to send them some money. How will you do it? So maybe with some of these networks, you can actually do it quite easily and not having to have a person traveling from India to Brazil, so that you can have the money there for someone else. Then if you have this distributed network, you have some resilience and redundancy. That's why we have all these nodes. Even if one of these nodes fail, you always have some fallback on the other nodes. So the network is not compromised. The system continues to operate. This also leads to eliminating a single point of failure, because if you only had one node and that node was down, you could not do anything about it. Of course, there are limitations to the technology, like we heard before. If you own more than 50% of the nodes, you can control the network, but those are security issues that also arise, but we will not be dealing with them at this talk. All these movements, and this is like an example of blocks on a DLT, they use cryptographic techniques like hashing and digital signatures to make sure that the information that is recorded is not altered between every point where it is being recorded. So transactions are secure, tamper-proof, they reduce the risk of fraud, and there is a consensus mechanism that says that if you want to make a change here, all these other nodes will have to comply with that in a way to say that, okay, I agree with that, because someone might be tampering with your network on this node, for example, and if that node has been tampered with, you don't want that information to spread to the other nodes. So this consensus mechanism also allows this to be avoided. There's also efficiency and speed. So the idea is that transactions can be processed between nodes more quickly compared to traditional systems. But then again, time has proven that this sometimes is not always the case because, well, you know that many of you have heard that if you were mining Bitcoins, you'll need like a huge infrastructure. When I say huge in terms of graphical cards, power consumption, because it can be quite demanding and sometimes it takes a lot of time for the consensus to take place, the proof of work. So sometimes this takes a little bit longer than expected, but all toward having more secure foundations. So DLTs also support what we call the smart contract. So everyone here knows what a contract is. If I talk to anyone in the room and I say, I will pay you, for example, 10 euros for the pen that you are holding in your hand, we could make a contract out of that. So if you sold me the pen, I will give you 10 euros and we'll be even. I have the pen and you have the money. So this is a contract that we have between us. But DLT allows having smart contracts. And what do we know about smart contracts? Let's say that you have a contract with an insurance company, and the insurance company states that, for example, if it rains a lot and you have an insurance company for your crops, you are harvesting something, or and it rains a lot during that year and your crops get flooded, so you won't have any product in the end. If you have a smart contract, that insurance company can actually give you the money for, given the weather conditions and the data they collect about the weather, they can actually say, we're going to give you a compensation even before you asked for it, because it's in the contract that if you get floods and if it rains more than something, or if you have wind gusts above 80, 90, 100 kilometers per hour, for example, you'll get compensated for that. So this actually works automatically. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to the insurance company and ask for something, because they'll know about it and automatically they will do it. And there's the global accessibility. We can have nodes here anywhere in the world, and those nodes can converge to each other. There is some improved trust because we have a kind of transparency and immutability on the records, and this leads to partners having trust among each other. Let's see in a few minutes we will see how that trust is important for this. So what can we say in a nutshell about DLTs? Where they are secure, tamper-proof, and immutable. They are normally decentralized and they are highly transparent. So this is the foundation for the blockchain and everything that we heard here about blockchain. Because actually DLTs, and this is for you to know, we won't deep dive into this. This is more like a 101 into blockchain than a really technical aspect of it. So you can have direct DLTs in the form of direct acyclic graphs. You can have DLTs like hash graphs. You can have DLTs like hollow chains, and these all have differences. And you can have also blockchains. So there are several different kinds of ways and techniques of using DLT technology, where blockchain is just one of them. And it's the one that is most currently known right now. But for example, direct acyclic graphs, they are really used a lot in the computer environment and sector. So there are applications for all this. Let's dive a little bit into blockchain itself. And blockchain is not a cryptocurrency. It's we'll get to talk if it's a technology or a system or a framework or whatever in a few minutes. But let's say that for the moment, this is a decentralized and distributed ledger technology. So it has to be because it's on top of the case. It allows multiple peers to have a secure and transparent record of transactions. It does not require a central authority. It has a consensus mechanism. It's a specific DLT implementation, but it uses blocks of information linked together in a chain. So I bet that many of you, when you were even today in classes, sometimes you write some notes on a paper to pass around your colleague. And how are you sure that from the person that wrote the note to the last person that got the note, the message is the same? Because every time that someone passes the note between a friend, someone can tamper the message with. They can add text, and that's it. Of course, you would know because it would have a different calligraphy, and that's it. But if we have a chain that we cannot make sure that the note that was written in the beginning is the same that got to the end, it might be hard to understand. So blockchain makes uses of these blocks of information that have a signature, and they are built upon each other. So the next block always references the last block, and it makes sure that it's correct, and it has a timestamp, and it references the previous block, and this is all in the list of transactions. So it's really hard if you don't control the whole network, and the whole purpose behind it is for someone not to control the whole network. It's really hard to tamper with something on the blockchain. So blockchain itself can have more instances like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. All of you probably have heard about Bitcoin. It's a virtual currency. It's mostly used for non-reversible payments, and it's a currency. So you can do a lot of things with it if you're working with money. If you want to do something else, and these are the most widely known, you can have Ethereum, which is also a popular distributed ledger. It introduces the smart contract, and it's also a blockchain. Of course, that if you want, you can use this either on a permissionless or in a permissioned way. It depends on your use case, and there are fees for this. If you have smart contracts, every time you interact with smart contract, someone has to pay something. There's always a fee applied to it, but you can have your own network with no fees, but then you probably won't have that much nodes and you control the whole network. So there's kind of a dilemma here, because if you have the network just for yourself, you're losing some of the capabilities of blockchains. So, and there is also Ripple, which is another instance. It was originally intended only for banks, but there has been some updates on that. how does this translate? I'm pretty sure that most of you have heard about Gartner hype cycles. They are some charts produced by an institution that tries to map the hype cycles, which are what is going to be the trend next year or in 5 years about something. And if we look at the Gartner hype cycles related to blockchain, we start noticing that there is something on the reports for emerging technologies mentioning blockchain since 2014 until today. So if we go through the Gartner hype cycle, and this is the hype cycle, normally you have the innovation trigger when technology is still quite young. Then you have the peak of inflated expectations, which is this part here that says, okay, this technology has reached its peak. It's like, well, everyone's talking about the buzzwords and etc. So this is like the thing that's going on. Then you have the true of disillusionment, or sorry, it's like, okay, we had the peak. Are we doing anything with this or not? We're not doing anything with this. We're gonna drop it. Or then we have the slope of enlightenment, which is, okay, people are still using it, so this will become mature and there's a plateau of productivity. So if we look at 2014, and we look at the hype cycles, we can see that we have cryptocurrencies here. They were kind of on the peak of inflated expectations. There is here, it's like a blue circle. It means that the plateau would be reached like in 5 to 10 years. And we're in 2024 right now. How many of you use for example, Bitcoin to pay anything in the world? Anyone can raise their hand if you use Bitcoin to pay for anything? No, I don't see any hands up. So maybe this was like an early expectation and we're still not there. In 2015, we still have the cryptocurrencies. It's still displayed there. In 2016, blockchain starts having some interaction here. We're not talking just about cryptocurrencies. People have forgotten a bit about cryptocurrencies. They're trying to use blockchain for other things. In 2017, we still are looking at blockchain, and people are thinking about, let's use blockchain for school, for student records, for health records, etc. We'll be using it in 5 to 10 years. So in 5 to 10 years, it was going to be mainstream. And this will be in 2027. And I don't see many hospitals using blockchain by 2027, right? But so sometimes the expectations are just this, expectations. In 2008 and 18, we still have blockchain in the chart. And we start seeing something which is applying blockchains to something else that is really meaningful. In this case, we're using it, or we can see some hype about the data security and using blockchain to not just to preserve data, but also use it to track data and make sure that data is not tampered with. In 2019, we have a slight approach to AI. So we kind of see that we start having explainable AI, and blockchain can be used with explainable AI to make sure that the explanation for some decisions are there and that you cannot tamper with. In 2020, we also have explainable AI, but notice that we're not actually seeing anything related to blockchain anymore. We have the authenticated provenance here. So if we want to have traceability and provenance information, maybe we could use blockchain, but it's not actually on the hype cycle. In 2021, people talk about decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens. All of them are supported by blockchain, but blockchain kind of disappears from the picture. And when we get to 2023, there's actually no anything related to blockchain in the emergent technologies. So what happened to blockchain and cryptocurrencies from after 2018? So what happened? Actually, in Gartner, they decided to explain to expand this a little bit further. So they decided to have other graphs for this. So they decided that we should just have something for blockchains and Web 3.0 that only appeared in 2022. So let's separate this on another chart for blockchain businesses and for blockchain technologies. And we'll have a look at this. But my main point here or topic is that blockchain was so new in a way that people were using it in so many different ways that people didn't even know how to catalog it. Is it a business? Is it a technology? What is it? So if we look at the blockchain businesses in 2018, we have a lot of things on blockchain. You can look this up on the internet. I have the URLs on the slide so you can have a look at it. And on the blockchain technology side of things, you also can have a look at many of the technology. So that blockchain keyword got out of the emerging technologies and got their separate graph where you can drill down and actually see where it is being applied, like in life sciences, in healthcare, in education. So you have a more drilled down chart. In 2019, we still have the blockchain technology, so we have a lot of things. Well, we always keep talking about distributed ledgers and blockchain. Now we have an expectation of less years for using the blockchain to reach the plateau of productivity. And in 2019, smart contracts start to appear. So this is quite recent. We're talking about 3-4 years ago. And we shouldn't be expecting to have anything like mainstream right now because many people are still working on this, having a proof of concepts, but some companies are already using it. When it comes to 2020, we have things like decentralized identity, smart contracts, authenticated provenance, decentralized web, blockchain managed service. So I just pointed out some of the most important ones, at least for me. And but you have many things happening in 2020. In 2021, this was the best chart I could get from the Gartner hype cycle. And this has a reason. Do you remember what happened in 2021? Anyone remembers COVID? Yeah, that was the time. But at the same time, there was like a big crash on Bitcoins. For example, Bitcoin, the values of Bitcoins got really down in the market. There was a problem with the bank that was trading on cryptocurrencies. So actually, Gartner said that decentralized public blockchain applications are thriving, but successful permissioned enterprise blockchain projects are scarce. Users must understand how new advances are supporting integration of enterprise requirements with public blockchain innovation. While cryptocurrency prices have crashed in recent months, it's important not to conflate the value of blockchain with the most recent price of various coins. So they didn't do a big of an effort because at the time people were getting disappointed with blockchain. Not blockchain, but Bitcoin itself, because it was losing a lot of value. Let's say that maybe 10 years ago, one Bitcoin was like 10, 11 euros. I will talk about euros. And right now, I don't know the current price, but maybe it's 30,000 euros or 40,000 euros. So imagine when people saw the value of Bitcoin going down from 45 or 50,000, it didn't reach 50,000 euros, but think about 45,000 euros and it got back to 19,000. So imagine how people's pockets must have felt. So this is like a dark year for blockchain, and people started saying, oh no, this is worthless because if this happened to Bitcoin, we won't be using this on any other businesses. So people confused cryptocurrencies with the technology itself. So you have to keep a leap of faith on this. In 2022, with Web 3.0, this kind of got hyped again. We started looking at blockchain and IoT, smart contracts, decentralized exchanges, NFTs, tokenization, stablecoins, DeFi. So there are a lot of things going on here. But are there any other uses for blockchain? Actually, there is, and there are so many areas we can apply it to, and we've heard about some of them with the last presenter. For example, if we look at digital government, there is a lot of things going on. If we look at the hype cycles for technology used by governments, we have blockchain in government, and I especially noted machine learning because if you're doing machine learning, you want to be able to trace back things. And this is actually being used. If you're thinking about using digital twins, so for those of you who don't know what a digital twin is like, let's imagine that I want to install solar panels in my house or on the countryside. So I have the panels physically installed on some field, but I also have a model for that in a computer. And I try to check if my expectations for the model are the same that are in the physical world. And we start looking at things that like fraud detection, data loss prevention, digital government technology platforms, blockchain for government, and all these things are leading to more trust in the system because you won't be able to tamper the information with. Which leads us to 2022, where we are looking about privacy by design. So this is not just looking at businesses and saying, I want to have this information and I want to collect people's information, but I want to be able to do it privately. I don't want my information exposed somewhere else. I don't know, but I was in Albania 3 years ago, I think, there on mobility. And when I got there, like 2 years before or 1 year before, they had like a huge leak of information in the country where they leaked. There was like a hacking group that was able to access the government website and people's information like name, finances, car registries, houses, addresses, social security numbers, all that information was made public for more than 500,000 people. So all these concerns lead us to trying to have ways of dealing with information that is more private. And there is also some, and this is the last cycle I will go on to show, there is a cycle that started in 2020 for legal and compliance technology. So if you want to look at legal things, even if you're talking about laws, how a law evolved, which changes were made from this version of the law to the next version, you can actually apply blockchain for that and be able to use it. And in this sense, we are talking about the explainable AI, blockchain for data security, smart contracts, and it has gone through from 2020 to 2021 to 2022, and we're still working. Right now, we are in the disillusionment point of it, so let's see how it's going to be used. But this was in 2022, but I've seen this starting to move on towards the slope. So actually, given all this, and I haven't talked, like I said, I wouldn't be really technical about it. But if I asked you what blockchain was, would you say it's a technology, a service, a product, or a framework? Because it all depends on how you use it. if you want to use it as a technology, let's say you are building your own application or you want a software for doing something. And you order a company to do something for you develop some software product. Are you really into understanding if they're using a database and if that database is Oracle or SQL Server or there are so many others, or it's non-relational database, it's like Mongo. You're not talking about that. So sometimes you can have a business and some software, and you can use blockchain as a technology underneath your product, and it's just a technology. Do you want to use it as a service? Do you want to provide a service where you can have smart contracts? You use blockchain, and you can provide smart contracts for anyone that want to write a smart contract saying, when I do this, someone gets that. You can use it as a service. Do you want to commercialize it as a product? You can also do it as a product instead of a service. If you have the whole product for just one company and another company and you have support for it, or is it a framework? Is it something that can be embeddable on your system? So there are different uses for it, and there is not only one explanation. So what's holding back blockchain from mainstream adoption? Well, there is transaction speed. Sometimes blockchain isn't that quick. And this is one of the issues that I have right now. And things are changing on the way that we used to have proof of work, now to have proof of stake. Interoperability. We've heard about it with our last presenter. There aren't that many standards for having because if you have only one blockchain, that's great. But if you have two blockchains, how they communicate with each other, because we don't want to create a blockchain to have a silo of data. We want it to operate with other blockchains. If I do a smart contract on the blockchain, how does that translate on another blockchain? So how does that work? There are some smart contracts vulnerabilities that need to be addressed because if you want to write a smart contract, you need to know something about coding. But I don't see many lawyers coding smart contracts. And even if you have a lawyer and IT person doing a smart contract, the IT person might not understand the whole contract. So there are vulnerabilities here that arise from miscommunication sometimes between people that are doing things. Then you also have the 51% attacks. If you have more than half of the network, you control the network. So there are some privacy concerns. So whether you are using public blockchains or you're going to have your own blockchain. And there is also the user adoption. Do you have user-friendly interfaces? Do we have any educational barriers? Are we reaching mainstream users? And given that I am talking to you and you probably all know about blockchain and technology, you have to assume that at least 95% of people to 98% of people that use computers, they don't know anything about computers, and they are nothing like the people that you know that use computers, because you're already in a way or embedded on an environment that uses computers, and the people most related to you in your family, they are also directly affected by this. But there are so many people that they just use a computer or a software product that they really don't know what software is. So they have no idea. So most of the users that use an application know almost nothing about the software. So getting those users, it's much harder than we think. Then there are legal problems, like for legal framework. Yeah, we want to send people money from Portugal to Brazil or from Portugal to India, but I don't want to pay any fees on that. And then the government doesn't think that's really funny because they want to tax you when you are exchanging money. But if you create your own money, which is what Bitcoin does, uh, governments cannot tax you for that in a direct way because this goes across borders. This is on top of all countries. This is not. This is the value that people give to that coin. It's not the government saying this coin is worth this. And this is hard because we are talking about, while on one hand, it's easy for people to send money from one side of the world to the other side of the world. It's also easy for businesses to do money laundering and to do tax evasion and to do all those kind of things that are harmful for the system where we live in. So this is kind of hard to do that. So another issue that we have a lot with blockchain is that sometimes development of these things are focused on technologies. So did we create NFTs? So did we give a token to a piece of art to solve a real world problem? Or was it just funny to create NFTs because we could do that? So are people thinking about solving problems in the world, or just saying, okay, we have a new technology and we can do this with that? Okay, but what's the point of it? Then there's the uh, most of the startups focus on this hype or on delivering software. It uses blockchain, but why use blockchain? Sometimes people are using blockchain and they could just use a database because there's no point in having like a blockchain just on your business if your business partners do not have the same blockchain, if it's not distributed, because if it's on site and your whole blockchain resides on your company premises, you can tamper the information the way you want. So you just lose trust and immutability. And this is something that we want to avoid. So everyone interested in the contracts in the blockchain itself should have a part of the blockchain. So this has to be distributed. And this leads us to other ways of using blockchain and using blockchain with AI. For example, why should we combine blockchain and AI? Well, if we look at artificial intelligence, it is quite good for enabling machines to assist humans in making decisions. Okay, that's great. If we look at blockchain, it's a distributed ledger that allows secure, transparent, tamper-proof applications. So we can combine them. We can combine them in a way to enhance security, smart decision making, transparent transactions, and efficiency overall on the whole business side aspect of it. There is actually, let me just get some water. There is actually a taxonomy. It's not mine, but for blockchain in AI. You can have a look that if you're talking about blockchain, you have several types. It can be public, it can be a consortium, it can be private, it can be blockchain as a service. And your infrastructure can be linear, non-linear. You can have several kind of consensus protocols. You can choose from one of these ones. And the decentralized operations, how do they manage? And you have applications for AI like autonomous computing, optimization, planning, reasoning, perception, etc., etc. So you can have a mix of all this. And I like this taxonomy because you can just say, oh, I want this kind, I want a public and a linear infrastructure. And I want to have proof of authority because I want to do some planning and I want to have some reasoning upon it. And I can mix all this up. So it's a great way of starting something. Sometimes when you're talking about people and businesses, and they say, I want to use blockchain. And I say, where do you want to use blockchain? How do you want to use it? So this is kind of nice when you're looking into AI and blockchain. Are there some use cases at the moment that haven't been, some of them have been addressed, but there are others that can still be exploited? Yes, there is a lot. For example, this week, given my what I do right now as the pro rector for the Polytechnic at Porto, I am looking into cybersecurity systems like Sophos and Palo Alto XDR system. So, and all of them have a thing that is called chain of causality. Causality. That's it. That's if you have a breach in your network, you want to have a look and to say and to keep some evidence that something happened, and you can use blockchain for that. So, and you can use AI to detect that there was a machine in your network that issued a command like 1 month ago, and there was another that issued another strange command 3 weeks ago, and another one 2 weeks ago. And AI can relate all that to establish a pattern of attack in an institution. There has been some institutions that have been hacked that the attack took more than 200 days. So they don't start attacking a company today and they finish tomorrow. No, they start exploiting. Let's see if I can do this. But then they do, if they do, can, if a hacking group can do that, they won't do anything else like in 3 days because they don't want to raise any suspicion that something wrong is happening. So after 3 days, they try to do something else. And if that's okay, they leave it for another 3 or 4 days. And this keeps on going slowly. So if people are looking at logs, they say, oh, I have a suspicion here, but they do not relate with the suspicion for 5 days ago. So this is one of the uses that we can use AI and blockchain. First, to use blockchain has evidence for the AI to be able to infer information. Blockchain is being used a lot in supply chain management. We've heard it a little bit ago on if you're distributing medicine to people to know if the medicine or hasn't been tampered with. So if it's the same that got from the factory to the patient. And there are lots of things that we can do with this and smart contracts. Right now, hospitals, they need to talk to pharmaceutical companies and say, I need this. But if you had a system that says, I've used half of the product already, automatically it could ship new products for the hospital. So there are lots of things that we can do with this. Even if we look at financial service, AI is quite good at detecting fraudulent activities, but blockchain ensures the transaction in security. So why not use this if governments want to use decentralized finance where one token on a blockchain is the equivalent to 1 rupee, for example. So if there's a 1-to-1 combination and we start using a cryptocurrency for that, maybe we should think about using blockchain to register that information. The problem is that some people don't want to have it written down where they waste their money so that they can do some tax evasion and things like that. So this is what the world is. We can have decentralized marketplaces. We can avoid misinformation. For example, we've seen people talking and doing speeches on the network on videos that they haven't done. They are all deep fakes. So maybe we can use blockchain to say that this video is actually real and that video is actually fake and it's going to be fake forever. So we can use it for authenticity. And there are so many uses like decentralized data storage and explainable AI. I'm just going through all this. you have it on video. You can look it up afterwards. But I'm pretty sure that everyone by now wants to go and have lunch. So I'm just going to finish with the last projects I've been working on. And it's related to healthcare and how to be able to use AI and blockchain to enhance data management and privacy. So that, for example, you can treat patient's information anonymously, but I'll still scan for problems in the population and trying to get to see if there's a pattern in how people behave, how their blood analysis work, and if there's a pattern on some parts of the population. So there are lots and lots and lots of ways that you can use it, even for disaster relief. And this is one of the most important for me, but not many people are doing it right now. So if you have a problem somewhere and you need some humanitarian help from organizations, maybe we can provide real-time data on that. And maybe companies can say, okay, if this happens somewhere in the world, we can automatically dispatch medical aid kits for that, and we can dispatch water, or we can do whatever. So this opens a lot of things, opportunities, and even for energy consumption. So energy markets where now everyone can be a producer. You can have solar panels introducing the wattage into your network, so you get paid for that, but then you consume from the network at night. So, and we can use blockchain to make sure that everyone's contributing to the system. So what are the takeaways for this session? I wanted you to understand that blockchain is a type of DLT. It's not blockchain by itself. It's sustained on something bigger and larger that has evolved through the years since the 70s. So it's not that new. Sometimes people are afraid of new technologies. It is a new technology, but it's based on old technology. So it's been proven throughout the years. It allows multiple parties to have a secure and transparent record of transactions without the need for a central authority. So you can do it without relying on anything else, just on your partners. There are different blockchain instances that you can use. It's not only about cryptocurrencies. It's still not mainstream, but even though Gartner Hype Cycles wanted it to be mainstream by now, it's not still mainstream. We can gain a lot from blockchain's immutability, security, and provenance, especially when using AI. And this can be optimized and provide new business models that are not even foreseen right now. So some people, sometimes they combine technologies and they say, okay, if we can do this. In the past we couldn't, but now we can. So these are my takeaways for this session. It has been a pleasure to be with you. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm open to questions. I know everyone wants to go for lunch, but I'm still here. So thank you.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
So, so anybody is having any questions on the session? It is. So you can go there and ask me. Sir, one student is having one question.
Okay.
Go in front of camera. Go there. Stand there. Stand there. Yeah.
Sorry, but I cannot hear you.
Come in. Come in. Come in. Come in. Yeah, you are. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, I'd like to thank you for providing us with your insights on this topic. And my question to you is that why is it possible to have one cryptocurrency all over the world? And how can we have it if it is? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. Yes, we could have one all over the world, but I think it will be hard to manage because there are so many different economical levels in the world. And imagine that you know when you do some money exchange and you go to another country. So let's imagine, I don't know, how much do you pay for a meal in India on your faculty? How much do you pay for that in euros, for example? And anyone give me a guess so that I can try to elaborate on this? Any ideas?
So I hope, sir, you have resolved her query. Is it?
How much?
She is listening to you, sir. You can continue.
Okay.
She said, okay, all right.
Okay.
So she doesn't have any clue. She doesn't have any clue about it.
The students are saying they have no idea. So
They have no idea. Sorry. So let's say, for example, in Portugal, it's quite typical to have a meal for students for about 3 to 4 euros for lunch. I don't know how many rupees would be 3 euros, but I don't know if that's a lot or not. But for example, I was in Stockholm a few months ago, and there you would pay like 8 or 9 euros. So now imagine the difference in countries. If you only had one token, on some countries you would pay like 2 tokens, and on other countries you might be paying like 1/10 or one or even less than that. So it's kind of hard to have just one currency. And then there is also the country part of it and the legal part of it. Countries want to have their coins because they have value on that. It's not. If you look at the European Union, it's not a matter of we wanted to establish one coin, but actually Britain had their own coin. Norway has their own coin. Sweden has their own coin. And even though everyone agrees that we should have the euro, some countries want to have their coin. So it's really hard to have one for all, but it doesn't mean that we should not have it. You can try and have it, but it's not going to be something that is going to be like really supported by countries, but you can have it. I can say that, for example, in Portugal, and I'm pretty sure that in India the same happens. On smaller communities, people have their exchange, like I can give someone a chicken and someone will give me a goat, or I don't know. It is just an idea, but you have your own trading. The problem with that, when you have one cryptocurrency that no one is responsible for because it's decentralized, it's what I said, you don't have any taxes, and governments, they get a lot from taxes and from taxpayers. So there is some issues that we need to be addressed in the future, so to have one stable coin around the world. But maybe we can get there, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be more than one, and there is going to be smart contracts interacting between them if you want to exchange from one currency to the other. But digital paper or digital money is coming even to the European Union. So I'm pretty sure that in 10 years, we're going to have many differences on this.
Thank you, sir, for the informative session, especially the concept of Gardner's hype. So the concept of Gardner's hype cycle was very well explained, and all the sessions were wonderful and enlightening. That's okay. Yeah, the mic is working on the laptop, so I got confused. Sorry for that. I request now Dr. Swapnali Lotlikar to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Nuno, sir, for gracing this occasion, and your view on the blockchain theme have enhanced the understanding and knowledge of our audience. Sir, we are very grateful for your support and we look forward your association along with us in UPG. So on the behalf of Usha Praveen Gandhi College and the University of Mumbai, I express sincere gratitude to our President Amrish Bhai Patel and our mentor Harshad Bhai Shah sir. We are extremely grateful to our keynote speakers, Dr. Ashwani Dhar, Dr. Nuno Betancourt, Dr. Padmaja Joshi, who have taken out their valuable time from their busy schedule to share their knowledge with us. I extend my thanks to Dr. Sri Varmangai Madam for her collaboration and support, and to our principal, Dr. Anju Kapoor, for her guidance and motivation. I express our gratitude to all members of Advisory Committee. A special acknowledgement goes to our convener, Dr. Neelam Naik, and our co-convener, Dr. Manisha Divte, for their dedicated efforts over the past 8 months towards organizing this event. I would also like to recognize our registrar, Kalika Madam, our office staff, Suruchi Madam, Abhang Sir, Ashish Sir, Machun Madam, Shraddha and Jayesh from University for helping us to run this conference smoothly. Thank you, our technology team members, Sandeep, Omkar and Arun. We enjoyed working with our SYTY and MACIT Part 1 students, volunteers. Please, big clap for them. This conference would not have been possible without the contribution of our presenters and participants. Thank you all. I request all of you to join in room number 6 for lunch, and we will start our session at 2:30. Thank you all.
One second, one second. So we are breaking up for lunch, all of you, and we'll be back with. Yeah, I guess Anju ma'am is wanting to speak.
No, no,
Ma'am,
I was just applauding. Sorry, just clapping.
Okay, okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. So we'll be back again at 2:30 with different tracks, all of you, and we break for lunch.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So we'll connect it again.
Bye bye.
Yeah, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.